we got the Patriots schedule on Wednesday, and the biggest question is how many games Jacoby Brissett will start and when we may see Drake Maye. Phil Perry went week by week on NBCSportsBoston.com, and week 13 against the Colts is getting the highest percentage chance with 60%. Phil wrote this. This right here, this would be the date I have my eye on if I'm the Patriots. First, you're going to want to make sure you've answered those two questions we mentioned above in his article that he mentioned above. Is Maye ready, and can they protect him? If the responses to both are yes, then they could be off and running. Oh,
Disagree, Phil.
Week 13? I mean, listen, I don't mind it. I would rather them go later than too early and then rush him and have it be a disaster, but week 13,
I could see week 1. Listen, I think my percentage chances of week 1 are higher than most because I think he's more pro-ready than I think most do. But I think the way the schedule shakes out is really interesting to me because it's very difficult off the top. And they may be 1-5 to start the season, but you might also want to give him a little bit more time to marinate. Then there's sort of a soft middle, Beetle, where I think you could actually rattle off a few wins with Jacoby Brissett. So if you're hovering around 500 through 10 weeks, are you all of a sudden just going to shove Drake Maye onto the field? I mean, you might. But you also might look at it and say, we're actually still kind of technically in contention here. The veteran's playing well. Drake Maye might be ready, but what's the rush? What is the rush? That's what I would ask. The reason I like that Colts game is because of where it falls on the schedule, but also, Beetle, because you get the bye week right after. A lot of people have posited, hey, maybe after the bye week or during the bye week is when you insert him as the starter. What I would like to see, if as a Patriots follower, is give him that game before the bye. Then allow him to have the bye to digest everything that was just thrown at him, and then give him the last 4 weeks of the season so that he can sort of get a running start into his second year.
Why do you want to see him?
I want to see him the first weekend of November on the road against the Tennessee Titans, and then again a week later against Chicago.
Okay. And why is that? Why is that timetable? Why do you like that timetable?
It's not at home. There is not the distraction of a home crowd that is going crazy for Drake Maye and the excitement of the young rookie quarterback. You sort of take that aspect out of it, not worried about family coming to the game or any of that crap. You are on the road. You have nothing to focus on but being with your teammates and the game plan in preparing for that game. And it's a soft landing. I think those two games represent some of the more winnable situations on this schedule, which doesn't present a lot of winnable situations. So those teams, to me, might represent a nice little spot there in that schedule. I've said all along I want them to get to Halloween with Jacoby Brissett. This would get them there, and then make the switch. And I don't think
he's playing well at that point.
That's what I was going to address.
Well, are you removing him?
I have no fear of Jacoby Brissett playing so well that you feel that he has to remain the Patriots
that's not fair. That's not fair.
You
might be in the middle of a little mini win streak at this point.
It's why I liked the signing. I think he's a consummate professional, and I also know that he hasn't been that good as a quarterback, which means there's always ample opportunity to come out and say, you know what? This is the week we're done with Jacoby Brissett, and nobody questions it because it's still Jacoby Brissett.
So you guys are saying halfway through the season. Well, I think you have him winning 6 games. Yesterday I said 4. Bert said 4.
I got him at 4 right now.
You got him at 4 wins?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say they've got 2 wins, by the time they get to, or 1 win after a month or 6 weeks into the season. Does ownership step in and say, you guys, let's just get this guy out here. There's not enough people out there. We're not drawing out of 5 balls. We need to get this kid out there. Otherwise, we're going to lose money.
I think that's completely fair. I mean, part of the reason and part of the way in which I determine those percentages, which is completely based on, nothing other than my own brain, where there's not a lot of math being done, is because I think there are a couple of places for wins there. And I don't think you need to rush him in if it actually looks okay, if the defense is good enough, which I think it will be, to keep them in a lot of these games. If they're 1-8 by the time they get through London, for instance, then yeah, you're out of it. Yes, okay, fine. Roll them out there. The reason why I kind of liked that Colts position on the schedule is it's because you're through the early part of the schedule. Maybe he's not ready. Then you're through the wins that you're going to be racking up. By the time you get to the Colts, you might be actually out of it, and it might feel like the right time for him.
I do believe that maybe ownership is more involved in what's going on in football, or more in tune with what's going on in football than they were 6 months ago. But I really don't think we would ever get to a situation where ownership is calling for Drake Maye and mandating that Drake Maye plays. I just think people need to understand they are very invested and they very much want Drake Maye to succeed. And if it means he's got to sit a lot in year 1, I think they'd be fully on board and would not be complaining.